All right, here's part 2 of my first semester message. This one I just want to really briefly, I'm going to see if I can keep this under 5 minutes. I'm just going to talk about the 4 classes that I took for my first semester at George W. Truett Theological Seminary located in Waco, Texas. This is not an ad for that school. It's just sort of like a audio visual documentation of my journey. I'm hoping to continue these videos doing 2 per semester, one at the beginning and one at the end, but more than likely it'll just be one at the end of the semester. So, kind of like recapping major things that happened or what I learned in the class. Okay. You can follow me on social media at Sojourner Shines or on my blog, where these videos are going to be posted on my YouTube page, which is sojournershines.com. And over there, I'm looking at the clouds. I'm here in Central Texas, and the clouds are just coming in. I don't know. It's going to be pouring in a second, so definitely this is going to be short. Okay, so I took 4 classes my first semester, and that's considered full-time. Full-time is 9 credits for a master's degree, and so I took 10 credits. One of them was only 1 credit, and that was spiritual formation 1. So what that is basically, okay, I can't explain everything about every single class. I'm gonna include the link for you to read the description of the class, but what I just want to give like 1 or 2 points from each class about what I personally am going to take away from this experience. Okay, so for spiritual formation, it's basically a small group of 6 of us led by a spiritual direction student, right? And we're supposed to be going through for 4 semesters together throughout our time in seminary. So that'll be great, right? Because we're talking deeper in this time. So what I appreciated about this, 2 things I'll say is, 1, we started off our group time by taking turns week by week going over our spiritual autobiography. I think that's what it was called. So I went first. I chose to go first, like, let me get this over with. And I did, and sort of like you use the class time to, you have already thought about and planned out like your life. When you think about birth till now, spiritually tell us about yourself. That was a great experience, not just for me thinking about that and putting it out there, but also hearing their stories as well, what they chose to share. It's amazing to see how God works. The other thing I wanted to say is, in that class we get to learn new techniques and practices that some are uncommon to me and to my community, my faith community, but we got to practice that and share about our experiences, so I really appreciated that. Okay, so my 3 credit classes, real classes, I guess you could say, were Introduction to Christian Scriptures, Leadership for Ministry, and Baptist Identity. It's starting to rain. I'm just going to say 1 point about each of those classes. But feel free to reach out to me if you have questions, though, or I'll click on the link if you want to know more specifically about Truett Seminary. But again, this is not about Truett. It's just me documenting the journey and encouraging those that might be interested in going to seminary, or just sharing a little bit of information with you if you've been just watching my journey, our family's journey. Okay, Introduction to Christian Scriptures, my absolute favorite class, tied with Leadership for Ministry. But the reason why Introduction to Christian Scriptures was my favorite class is because it's talking about the Bible. I love the Bible. And I gotta tell you, when I talked about humility and understanding that God is more broader than what we thought, that's basically coming from this class. Talked about how do we have the Bible that we have? Why did they decide to record this text? Why did people decide to save it? Like over the ages, like we have this, and how should it impact our life today? As I think about sharing about the Bible and the Word, how do I do that well with others? Like, these are all things that were kind of brought out in me as we went through an overview of everything related to the Bible. Overview. Okay, My other favorite class, leadership for ministry. Why? Because I've always been interested in leadership. That's probably because, anyway, because I am a leader. I think all people are leaders. That's just my perspective and point of view. That's not something that was taught in the class. I'm just sharing my own. I already came in with this thought, like we all have influence. That doesn't mean that we're all good leaders, though. But anyway, this is leadership for ministry. What I really liked about this class was I thought it was going to be like I thought we were going to be reading like certain well-known leadership texts or authors. It wasn't that. It was this particular professor is new to Truett, and his approach to learning about leadership and ministry is very involved. It's not lecture based. It's like community. We're all in different leadership contexts, and we have wisdom in one another and in our settings. But it also was combined with a ton of reading. He paired reading each week, from one secular author and one Christian author. So I learned a lot from just exposing myself to lots of different thinking and thoughts, as it led to basically how to have how do we get that wisdom that we're looking for and apply it in our ministries in any setting. The way he did it was fantastic, a fantastic model, and I just loved it. All right, as you can hear, it is raining, which I'm not afraid of rain, but anyway. Okay, last class was Baptist identity. My favorite part of this class, well, first was the person that taught this class. First of all, I was a little leery about a history class because I don't particularly like history. Now I do. I'm appreciating history now, but before I didn't really like history growing up. I thought it was boring. Now I recognize that we repeat things and it's good to know our history. But anyway, I was coming in a little nervous. I'm not that good with names or dates, but I remember stories. And the person that is the professor for this class his first day of class, he said he is a I forgot how he worded it, but basically he is I wrote it down. He's like a missionary to like share about Baptist history. I like his goal in life. Like, I love that because I didn't want dry, and he did not deliver dry, although it was all lecture based, but he also was entertaining and funny, and he made it interesting. But the thing I appreciated the most from this class, the work that I appreciated most, was having to write this term paper, which was on the comparison of the three Baptist faith and message. I'm getting the name wrong. Baptist faith and message. Yeah. It sounds like I'm missing a word, but yeah. Right from all the way up to the latest one, the 2001. The one that has some controversial to some people differences, but actually it was leading up to that. Anyway, what I appreciate about this paper, first of all, he didn't give us a lot of direction. He said what he wanted, and was like, go to it. Use of course the three different Baptist faith and messages, of course. Use those, but also read books, read journals, text, read articles, like go and do your research. And so I did, and let me tell you, it led to a lot of it led to a lot of wow. Now I see. And this is only scratching the surface. Like, there's a lot to know about how we got to where we are today when it comes to the Southern Baptist Convention. And views on, for me, women in ministry. But then also lots of things. Like just how we view the Bible, how we interpret the Bible, and how we move about in ministry and in our family life. Like all of that is some would say there's an agenda. I think definitely it's interesting to look that up and see how the pieces are coming together and where we're headed and where we've come from. Doing the work for that and then hearing more about what's happening in the Southern Baptist Convention or just in the church. So it's just like, wow. Like some of these arguments that we're having have been going on for much longer than we thought, or longer than I thought. And it's not going to be solved quickly either. So, but it was a great class. All of my classes were great because I fully was open, like, God, what do you have for me? And I received a lot. So I just wanted to, so that's what my classes were about for my first semester at Truett Seminary, attached to Baylor University in Waco, Texas. And I'm looking forward to starting my summer semester on Wednesday. So if you have any questions or comments or if you yourself are about to go into ministry, if you have questions for me that you'd like me to cover next time, just let me know. Hopefully you can hear me because there's water being dumped from the ceiling because we don't have gutters for some reason. And when it rains here, it dumps rain. All right. So find me on social media at Sejana Shines or on YouTube or my blog at www.sejanashines.com. Go and be the church.